Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today to share something simple, yet profound. It's something you can do starting today, something that doesn't require you to change your surroundings or wait for the perfect moment. What I'm about to talk about is the power of how you speak to yourself. Not just any speech, but the kind that can shape your reality. Imagine for a moment, if you spoke to yourself with love, strength, and belief, what would your life look like? What if, for just 3 days, you decided to treat yourself like you truly matter? I'm not talking about self-deprecating humor or the kind of passive thoughts we're often taught to carry. No, I'm talking about a conversation with yourself that's empowering, motivating, and transforming. You see, we are often our own harshest critics, allowing doubt, fear, and negativity to drown out our potential. But here's the catch. What if you could change that? What if you could challenge those thoughts and replace them with something that lifts you up, something that propels you forward? Today, I want to take you on a journey where we explore how to talk to yourself in a way that changes everything. This is not a grand theory, not an abstract idea, but a concrete action that can take place right now, today, and for the next 3 days. If you speak to yourself with the right words, you open doors to possibility, to courage, and to change. So for the next 3 days, I challenge you to speak to yourself as though you are your own best friend, your biggest supporter, your strongest ally. Speak to yourself with kindness, respect, and unwavering belief. Let's dive into the core of how this simple yet transformative practice can shift your perspective on life. To begin, we must first understand the power of self-awareness. It's impossible to change anything about ourselves if we don't first recognize where we stand. Self-awareness is more than just acknowledging our actions. It's the act of understanding our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. It is the foundation upon which all growth and change are built. And when you start speaking to yourself with intention, you cultivate this awareness. You're not just allowing thoughts to pass through your mind without a second glance. You're taking a moment to listen, to really hear yourself. And this simple act of listening is where change begins. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself caught in a spiral of negativity? Perhaps you've called yourself weak, incapable, or unworthy. But what happens when you begin to listen more closely? When you truly hear yourself saying these things? Do you feel empowered? The answer is no. You begin to realize that these negative thoughts are just noise, untrue stories we tell ourselves. And by becoming aware of them, you gain the power to change them. By acknowledging those moments, you give yourself the space to choose something better. In those moments of self-awareness, you also learn the difference between your authentic self and the voice of doubt or fear. Often the voice that holds you back is not your true essence. It's the result of external influences, society's expectations, other people's judgments, and past experiences. When you start listening to yourself more carefully, you begin to hear your true voice, one that is not limited by fear, but driven by possibility. This self-awareness opens a path to personal freedom, where your thoughts can align with your deepest desires and aspirations. The key here is not to judge yourself for your current thoughts. It's not about shaming yourself for the negative patterns that have developed over time. No. The first step is to recognize that these thoughts exist, but they do not define you. They are simply habits you've picked up along the way. And with the awareness that you can change them, you unlock the door to transformation. It is this awareness that gives you the ability to speak to yourself in ways that are constructive and supportive, rather than destructive and critical. For the next 3 days, Take note of your internal dialogue. Every time you catch yourself thinking something negative, pause. Ask yourself, is this really true? Is this helpful? And what would happen if I spoke to myself like I would speak to a friend, someone I care about? This shift in perspective is where the real work begins. Let's dive deeper into a tool that can revolutionize your inner conversation: positive affirmations. These aren't just empty words you repeat without meaning. They are intentional statements that align your mind with your highest goals and intentions. Affirmations are the bridge between your current reality and the life you wish to create. When you speak to yourself with affirmations, you're planting seeds of possibility in the soil of your subconscious mind. Affirmations have the ability to rewire your brain. When you consistently repeat positive statements, your brain begins to accept them as truth. The more you affirm your worth, your strength, and your potential, the more these beliefs become ingrained in your daily experience. It's not about pretending to be something you're not. It's about affirming what you're capable of. These affirmations act as reminders of your intrinsic power, your resilience, and your ability to overcome any challenge that comes your way. Think about the words you typically say to yourself. Are they empowering or are they limiting? When you begin speaking to yourself with affirmations like, I am strong, I am capable, I am worthy of love and success, you create a new narrative. You shift the focus from what you lack to what you already possess. You shift from fear to belief, from doubt to certainty. This shift can transform not only how you see yourself, but also how you show up in the world. The beauty of affirmations is that they can be tailored to your personal needs. If you're facing a difficult challenge, you might affirm, I have the strength to face this challenge head on. If you're struggling with self-doubt, you might say, I trust myself to make the right decisions. The more specific your affirmations, the more they resonate with your current experience. The key is consistency. Repetition is how you ingrain these positive beliefs into your mind and change your internal dialogue for good. For the next 3 days, set aside time to speak these affirmations to yourself every morning. Stand in front of the mirror and look yourself in the eye. Say these words with conviction, not just as a ritual, but as a commitment to yourself. With each affirmation, you're planting the seeds of confidence, resilience, and strength. Over time, these affirmations will replace the limiting beliefs that have held you back, and you will start to see the world around you respond to this shift in energy. If we're honest with ourselves, we all have an inner critic. This voice is relentless, constantly undermining our efforts, reminding us of our past failures, and telling us that we're not good enough. But here's the truth. That inner critic is not the voice of reason. It's the voice of fear and insecurity. It's a reflection of your doubts, not your truth. And for the next 3 days, I challenge you to confront that critic head on. The first step in overcoming the inner critic is to acknowledge its presence. You may not be able to silence it completely, but you can choose not to give it power. When that voice starts to speak, don't engage with it. Don't argue with it. Instead, simply observe it. When you detach from the critic, you take away its ability to control your actions. You recognize that its purpose is not to protect you, but to limit you. And once you realize this, you can shift your focus back to the voice of empowerment. One way to combat the inner critic is by using the power of self-compassion. Instead of criticizing yourself for mistakes or perceived flaws, practice kindness. Treat yourself as you would treat a friend who is struggling. When you make a mistake, instead of beating yourself up, say, it's okay, I'm learning. I will do better next time. By shifting from self-judgment to self-compassion, you stop the inner critic from hijacking your mind. This shift in perspective is key to breaking free from the cycle of negative self-talk. The more you practice self-compassion, the less influence the inner critic will have on your life. You'll begin to notice that the harsh judgments and negative thoughts lose their grip on you. They'll still appear, of course, but they will no longer control your decisions or define your self-worth. By choosing to speak to yourself with kindness and understanding, you create a new internal narrative, one that supports your growth and well-being rather than sabotaging it. So, whether we're dealing with poor health or whether we're dealing with poor optimism, for the next 3 days, whenever the inner critic speaks up, choose to respond with compassion. Speak to yourself as you would a loved one who is experiencing the same doubts and fears. Be gentle with yourself. This practice alone can begin to dissolve the power of the inner critic and replace it with a voice that is nurturing and supportive. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for shifting your mindset. When you practice gratitude, you are intentionally focusing on the positive aspects of your life, no matter how small they may seem. This practice not only improves your mental well-being, but also creates a mindset of abundance. The more you focus on what you are grateful for, the more you begin to attract positive experiences into your life. Speaking to yourself with gratitude is a form of self-empowerment. When you express gratitude for the things you've accomplished, for the challenges you've overcome, and for the person you are becoming, you reinforce your own sense of worth and potential. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you already have, and that shift is the key to unlocking greater happiness, success, and fulfillment in your life. Start each day by acknowledging at least 3 things you are grateful for. Speak them out loud to yourself with sincerity and presence. These might be simple things like the roof over your head or the health of a loved one, or they might be deeper, like the resilience you've shown in difficult times or the lessons you've learned along the way. No matter what they are, expressing gratitude reminds you that you are not alone in your journey. You are surrounded by blessings, and you are capable of creating more. For the next 3 days, make gratitude a non-negotiable part of your daily routine. Whether it's through journaling or simply speaking to yourself, express gratitude for the gifts you have in your life. This practice not only strengthens your mindset, but it also shifts the way you interact with the world. When you approach life with gratitude, you attract more opportunities, more joy, and more connection. Visualization is a tool that athletes, entrepreneurs, and successful people across the world use to manifest their goals. When you visualize your success, you align your mind with your goals, and you begin to feel as though those goals are already within reach. The key to effective visualization is not just seeing the end result, but feeling the emotions that come with it. Feel the joy, the pride, the sense of accomplishment as if it's happening right now. For the next 3 days, I want you to take 5 minutes each day to close your eyes and visualize your future self, the version of you who has already accomplished what you desire. See yourself thriving, happy, and successful. What does that version of you look like? What does it feel like? Allow yourself to truly experience the emotions associated with your success. By practicing this visualization, you are sending a clear message to your subconscious mind. This is who I am becoming. The more you visualize, the more you begin to believe in the possibility of that reality. And with belief comes action. You'll start to take steps, no matter how small, towards making that vision a reality. Visualization is not a passive exercise. It's a powerful tool that helps you take inspired action toward your dreams. At the heart of everything we've discussed is one critical component: self-love. Self-love is not about being arrogant or self-centered. It's about acknowledging your worth and treating yourself with the respect and care you deserve. It's about understanding that you are enough just as you are, and that you don't need to seek validation from anyone else to know that you are worthy. For the next 3 days, focus on practicing self-love. This means treating yourself with kindness, saying no to things that drain you, and yes to the things that fill you with joy and energy. Speak to yourself as though you are your own best friend, someone you would defend fiercely, someone you would encourage when they feel down. Remind yourself regularly that you are valuable and your happiness matters. When you speak to yourself with love, you build an unshakable foundation of confidence. You no longer rely on external validation or approval to feel good about yourself. Instead, your worth comes from within. And this is the foundation of true confidence. Confidence that is not fragile, but rooted in a deep understanding of your own value. Finally, let us talk about failure. In a world that often equates success with perfection, failure is seen as something to be avoided at all costs. But the truth is, failure is not the end. It's the beginning of a new chapter. Every time you fail, you learn, you grow, and you get closer to your ultimate success. For the next 3 days, change the way you view failure. Instead of seeing it as a reflection of your inadequacies, see it as a valuable lesson. Embrace failure as an opportunity to learn, to adjust, and to move forward with greater wisdom. Speak to yourself with compassion when you fail, reminding yourself that it is not your final destination, but part of the journey. Failure is not something to fear, it is something to embrace. By reframing failure as a stepping stone, you unlock your ability to continue moving forward, no matter the obstacles. This mindset shifts the way you approach challenges and sets you on a path toward ultimate success. Consistency is one of the most powerful forces in life. It's the secret ingredient behind every long-term success story. Whether it's mastering a new skill, building a business, or transforming your mindset, the key lies in showing up every day, no matter how small the step. The real magic happens when you commit to something day in and day out, even when the results aren't immediately visible. Consistency builds momentum. It creates habits that shape your reality over time. When you talk to yourself in a positive, empowering way, for 3 days straight, something starts to happen. It feels a bit awkward at first. After all, you're not used to giving yourself the encouragement, support, and love that you might easily offer someone else. But that's okay. In those early moments of discomfort, you're creating a new habit, a new way of speaking to yourself. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. The beauty of consistency is that it doesn't require grand gestures or major changes. It simply requires you to keep going. When you speak to yourself with positivity, when you commit to affirmations and gratitude, when you refuse to allow self-doubt to take over, you start to form a habit that will become. Over time, you'll notice that your thoughts automatically shift to a place of encouragement and possibility because you've trained your mind to focus on these empowering truths. Consistency doesn't guarantee that every day will be perfect. There will be times when you falter, when the negative thoughts creep in, or when you feel unmotivated. But the power of consistency is that it's not about perfection. It's about showing up and doing the work no matter what. This practice of consistently speaking kindly to yourself will begin to transform your inner dialogue and, in turn, transform your reality. For the next 3 days, commit to consistency. Even if you falter, come back to the practice. Keep speaking to yourself as though you are worthy, capable, and deserving. In doing so, you will create a new rhythm in your life, one that aligns with your goals and your deepest aspirations. Fear is a natural part of being human. It's an instinctive reaction to the unknown, the unfamiliar, and the uncertain. But often fear is misunderstood. We see it as something that holds us back, something that warns us of danger. But in reality, fear is just a signal. It's not always something to avoid or suppress. Fear can be a powerful motivator when you learn to speak to it differently. For the next 3 days, let's make an agreement. When fear arises, you will no longer let it paralyze you. Instead, you'll speak to yourself with courage and understanding. You will acknowledge the fear, but you won't let it define your actions. You'll remind yourself that fear is not a sign of weakness. It's simply a sign that you're stepping out of your comfort zone and into growth. When fear appears, instead of running from it or trying to ignore it, tell yourself, this is an opportunity to grow. I am capable of handling this. By changing the way you speak to yourself in the face of fear, you stop seeing it as an obstacle and start viewing it as a stepping stone. You turn fear into a partner in your journey, rather than something to be avoided at all costs. This shift in perspective can change everything. When you no longer fear fear itself, you begin to act with confidence even when you don't feel ready. You trust yourself more, you take bolder steps, and ultimately, you start to see that fear was never the enemy. It was simply part of the process, guiding you toward your greatest potential. For the next 3 days, when fear shows up, speak to it with compassion, curiosity, and strength. Let it be a reminder of your growth, not a reason to shrink back. Too often, we focus solely on the big victories in life, waiting for that grand moment when we can celebrate our success. But life is made up of countless small wins, those moments where we push past self-doubt, where we practice self-compassion, where we show up for ourselves even when it feels difficult. These small wins are just as important as the larger milestones, because they are the building blocks of your overall success. For the next 3 days, take time each day to celebrate your small wins. Did you speak kindly to yourself instead of criticizing yourself? That's a win. Did you push through a moment of fear or doubt? Another win. Did you stick to your affirmations even when it felt uncomfortable? That's worth celebrating too. The more you acknowledge these small victories, the more momentum you build, and that momentum will propel you forward on your journey toward bigger goals. Celebrating small wins is also a way of reinforcing the positive changes you're making. When you acknowledge your progress, no matter how minor it seems, you're telling yourself, I am capable. I am making progress. I am becoming the person I want to be. This reinforcement builds confidence and keeps you motivated, even when the path feels long or challenging. In this practice, you're not just recognizing your successes, you're creating a habit of gratitude and celebration. You're teaching yourself that every step forward, no matter how small, is worth acknowledging. These small moments of celebration are the fuel that keeps you going, even when the journey seems slow. So, over the next 3 days, celebrate your progress, however small it may seem. You've earned it. And each celebration will bring you closer to your larger goals. Now, as we come to the end of this journey, I want you to remember one thing. How you speak to yourself matters more than anything. The words you use to describe yourself, the stories you tell yourself, the beliefs you hold about yourself, these things shape your reality. If you speak to yourself with kindness, encouragement, and belief, you will begin to see a shift not just in how you feel about yourself, but in the opportunities that show up in your life. The next 3 days are your opportunity to start this practice, to speak to yourself as though you are worthy of everything you desire, to acknowledge your fears, but not let them hold you back, to embrace failure as part of the process, and to celebrate every step of progress along the way. It's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. It's about showing up for yourself with love and belief, even on the tough days. And by doing this, you will see that the way you speak to yourself can create a life beyond your wildest dreams. So I challenge you, for the next 3 days, treat yourself like you truly matter. Speak to yourself with the kindness, strength, and belief you've always deserved, and watch what unfolds. Thank you.